Hey mathematicians, today we're going to talk about dot plots. So in the example, you will see a frequency table. A frequency table tells you how many times a certain result happened. So in our table, we see that it says math quiz scores. And if you look at the second column, it says the number of students that got 100 or received 100 would be 5 students. 6 students received a 90. So we're going to make a dot plot to show this data. Okay, guys, here you have a dot plot. It has the same information that's in your frequency table, but if you look at the dot plot, it's really easy to see which score was made the most times. You can see which was the least amount or the minimum score made, the maximum score, because when you have a dot plot, it's always in order. You can also see that most kids made a grade of 80 because it has the most dots. By counting each set of dots, you can know how many kids scored each grade on the quiz. You can also tell how many kids are in the class because you can count all the dots on the plot. We can answer questions by looking at the dot plot. The first question I'd like you to answer is how many students scored an 80 or a 90? In order to answer this question, we're going to go find how many kids scored 80 and how many kids scored 90, and then we'll add it together. All you have to do is count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 students scored an 80 or a 90. The second question says, how many fewer students scored a 0 or 70 than an 80 or 90? To answer question 2, we need to see how many kids scored a 0 or a 70. So I'm going to go count 0 and 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 kids scored either a 0 or a 70. Now I need to know how many kids scored an 80 or a 90. Earlier we counted. There were 8 in this row and another 6. So 14 total students scored an 80 or a 90. I want to know how many fewer students. That means I'm going to take the number of students that scored 0 or 70 and subtract it from the number of students that scored an 80 or a 90. So 14 minus 5 equals 9. Dot plots show how frequently or how many times something occurs. For example, Riley collected data on the age of 12 of her close friends. Each dot represents a friend of Riley. You see that the label at the bottom tells you that we're talking about how many years old. So I want you to tell me how many friends were 9 years old. How many friends were younger than 8 years old? Please write your answers on a sticky note and place it on the small board by the door. Can you tell which flavor had the least votes? It might be more than one answer. Can you tell which flavor had the most votes?